The ICMPD Migration Outlook 2026 offers a comprehensive overview of migration trends and key developments shaping the year, condensing this complex landscape into 10 migration issues to look out for in 2026. 1. Record conflict levels sustaining high displacement risks. A historic peak in global conflicts maintains high displacement levels, and the global conflict landscape shows little prospect of easing in 2026. With 59 active state-based conflicts worldwide, the highest number since World War II, with conflicts increasingly protracted and internationalized. For Europe, developments in countries like Venezuela, Syria, Afghanistan, or Ukraine will once more shape migration and asylum trends. 2. Global crises as the great unknown in Europe's migration outlook. Conditions in origin and transit countries and recent policy interventions will shape European migration dynamics in 2026. Asylum applications and irregular arrivals in the EU have declined markedly over the past 2 years, and absent major disruptions, this trend may continue. However, sudden reversals remain possible as geopolitical shocks and ongoing crises drive uncertainty. 3. Growing impacts of cuts to humanitarian aid and refugee support. Cuts of up to 40% to global humanitarian aid and refugee assistance are increasing pressure on displaced people and other vulnerable groups. Combined with tighter mobility restrictions and reduced resettlement quotas, access to protection aid and livelihoods will be further limited in 2026. For Europe, shortfalls in support for key origin and host countries could exacerbate precarious conditions and trigger significant movements towards the EU. 4. Deepened EU-North Africa relations amid migration pressures and labour mobility initiatives. North African states are increasingly evolving into destinations and transit hubs for mixed migration flows, while also facing conflict-induced migration from southern Africa. In closer cooperation with the EU, they will focus on control measures, alongside skills development and labour mobility. With shared challenges and opportunities, both North and South states of the Mediterranean must address the root causes of displacement to achieve sustainable change in migration dynamics. 5. The new Pact and the hard slog of implementation. Transforming the new EU Migration Pact from a political commitment to an operational reality will absorb much of the member states' capacity in 2026. Full implementation by June requires sustained momentum and coordinated efforts. Driven by the political salience of migration and the recent decline in irregular arrivals and asylum, the majority of member states are expected to remain committed. 6. The push for tangible results after setting a new returns framework. The new Asylum and Migration Pact aims to substantially increase the return of individuals residing illegally in the EU. Key components agreed last year will be tested in 2026, with progress measured against tangible outcomes, following a return rate that rose to 27% last year. 7. A sustained Realpolitik turn in migration policy. In 2025, for the first time, European governments resumed returns to Syria and Afghanistan, under agreements with the respective authorities. This reflects a shift where migration policy objectives take precedence over governance concerns. While legally constrained, further expansion of return operations appears likely in 2026, though not indicative of large-scale deportations. 8. Labour migration in EU geopolitics. The Global Gateway is an EU strategy to mobilise investment for sustainable development and global partnerships, while reflecting the EU ambition to act as a more geopolitical actor. The launch of the Legal Gateway Office in India will test how prepared member states are to view labour migration as part of the EU geopolitical strategy, and whether it can become a successful component of that strategy. 9. The rise of a skills-based approach. Building on 2025 initiatives, the EU and partner countries will prioritize skills development in origin countries to facilitate admission into skilled occupations. In 2026, efforts will expand to high-demand professions, especially skilled trades, alongside coordinated action among governments, the private sector, and intermediary actors. 10. Two scenarios after the US strike in Venezuela. The US military strike against Venezuela and the removal of President Maduro is set to reshape migration dynamics. This opens two possible scenarios: the Venezuelan diaspora returning home and a reduction in asylum applications, or renewed instability, triggering further displacement across Latin America and increased arrivals in Europe. In both cases, developments in the Americas will remain a focal point of global attention in 2026 and require a coherent European response. Explore the ICMPD Migration Outlook 2026 for key insights, and find more information at icmpd.org.